While I was still younger growing up, I used to think that the purpose of going to school was so that I could maybe get a job, get employment, and work in a fancy job, meeting people. But then I came across a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's literally changed my life. After reading the book, I came to realize that maybe the purpose of going to school is not just to get a good job, it's not just to take the traditional path. Maybe there was more to it. Maybe there was something I never knew. So, in fact, the book so motivated me that I had to read the other two books in the series, which were, the first was Rich Dad Poor Dad, second, Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant, and the third, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. And this series changed my life. I never saw money, employment the same way again. I sort of changed my mentality. It's as if the tables were turned. I started to see things not from the employee point of view, but I started to see things from the business owner point of view. Instead of from the job seeker point of view, I started to see things from the job creator point of view. In fact, after that series, my whole life completely changed. My whole mindset was as if my brain was completely rewired. And I just realized it just brought out the fire for entrepreneurship. I came to understand that I didn't just have to be an employee. I could actually be an employer of living. That's the main goal, that's the purpose. The only reason that one should actually ever get employment or seek employment from an organization, that private or public, is so that you could eventually do what you really want to do with your life. So I'm not oblivious, or I'm not ignorant of the fact that at times we just have pressing needs. Let's be honest. We're not naive. I'm not naive. So I know that at times we have pressing needs, and so we have to actually get to work. You really need a job badly. So maybe you have bills you have to settle, you have rent, you have just short-term stuff you need to cater for. And even if you're going to be working on something, maybe like a side hustle, then you actually need money in the initial stages to actually set it up. So if it's something online, you actually need money to say buy phones, buy laptops, and all that. So I'm not ignorant on that part. But then the problem arises when you now start to actually depend on these jobs. So having this kind of mindset I just talked about, then it's expected that maybe after school, then another reason why you might want to get a job is student loans. So I actually talk about that. That's a major factor why most people actually get employment in the early stages of student loans. So notwithstanding, then it should be reasonable that maybe after graduating, then the period for graduation to maybe 5 years time, that should be enough time for you to actually work some money, save up for immediate needs, and then maybe also save up something to actually. In fact, as you are doing that employment, you're expected to be doing something on the side. It's called side hustle. So if you go on the internet, you actually set it up, write up some that. It's just when it's kind of having something on the side that you're working on. It could be a business, it could be something you're really passionate about, but it's important that thing should actually be able to put food on the table. Okay, you should actually be able to retire in a long time. So I'm not one of those that advocate hobby and all that. It's good to have hobbies. It's good to have a hobby. But then, is hobby something you should actually make your work? Is it something you should actually not just forgo employment to settle for a hobby? Well, it depends on the definition of a hobby. For me, a hobby could be swimming or dancing, or like me, I like to play soccer. Okay, like to maybe just hang around beach and all that. So that's a hobby. But then when you talk about a side hustle, then it's something you're actually working on that you plan to make into a full-time actual business that can actually, produce money, produce profit, and then maybe be able to sustain you for the rest of your life. That should be the goal, in my opinion. That should be the goal. It's okay to get employed for whatever reason, but it's a problem when you become stuck to employment. You shouldn't plan to be employed forever. It shouldn't be a plan that you go to school, you graduate, you come out, and then you seek employment, and then you begin to, just that becomes your regular, that becomes your normal. So you start to engage in normal office politics, if you're in Nigeria, in normal private government politics, and then all that, and then you get to 65, and then you retire if people actually retire. Because we don't really understand this country. But assuming you retire 65, then what? Okay, maybe you make a ton of money. What should that be the essence of actually coming to this big world? Just to come and get employed and make so much money. Personally, I don't know about you, but in my opinion, that shouldn't be.
Look, it's right now we have so many people, tens of millions of people in the United States who are dealing with student loan debt and responsibilities, and it's standing in the way of them being able to start a family or buy a home, and it's real, and we need to deal with it. I remember, I'm gonna date myself.
Student loans are a major reason why many people feel a need to get a job. For example, in the US, federal student loans start to mature 6 months after graduation and are expected to be paid over a 10-year period. The penalty for defaulting is high as it can affect your credit score and basically make it more difficult to access loans in the future. Therefore, it is understandable that we want to get a job. However, you should not just depend on the job forever. Learn about diversification, about investing, and about side hustles. In this current global economy, a proper side hustle is likely to be more lucrative than a 9-to-5 job. On the other hand, in most third world countries, in Nigeria in particular, there are no federal student loans. The private student loans have stringent requirements that have made them unpopular and almost completely non-existent to Nigerian students. So basically, if you have the money, you go to school. Otherwise, you forget about it. In as much as this is not the best policy in the world, but it is what we have, and the least we can do is look for a silver lining. Given that you don't have the burden of paying off a debt on graduation, this should give you more freedom to do what you want. Nigeria is one of the most difficult countries in the world to do business in, but you can take advantage of the internet to reach out to more people, do something, and stop sitting around and hoping that someone will employ you. In Nigeria, the unemployment rate is around 33%, while in higher institutions across the country, there are over 2.1 million students, according to the NUC Executive Secretary, Professor Abubakar Rashid. Having in mind that new graduates are naturally absorbed into the existing labor force, it means that there will be even more people who are willing to work but cannot find a job. Even more disturbing is the youth unemployment rate, which is currently closer to 53.4%. Now you might be wondering why the youth unemployment rate is so important when you already know the general employment rate. Well, this is why. With a youth unemployment rate of 53.4%, it means that 53.4% of the total young people who are in the labor force cannot find work to do. Nigeria has one of the youngest population in the world. 44% of Nigerians are below the age of 15. In fact, Nigeria is the most populated country in the world with the highest number of young people. This means that in years to come, a larger amount of young people, more than in any other country in the world, are going to enter the labor force, which is already saturated and already unemployed by 53%. Thus, competition for jobs will become even fiercer, and more vices like tribalism, favoritism, and a complete lack of meritocracy will even be more predominant. Another reason why you don't want to depend on salary or wages is something called inflation. Inflation is a persistent rise in the general price level. What it basically does is render the value of money useless. If you're a fixed income earner, for example, an employee, inflation is your greatest enemy, and the sad reality is that inflation is part of your existence. It is like not loving someone that loves you. The more you avoid them, the more they want to prove their love for you. Even more painful is one familiar effect of inflation, which we call money illusion in economics. You suffer from money illusion when you are happy that your salary has increased by 7%, when the inflation rate also increased by 10% in that same time period, basically wiping out the benefits of 7% increase in your income and even making you worse off than you were before your salary was increased. If salary is so weak against inflation, what other options are there? If you can remember, in primary school, we were taught that there are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. The reward for land is rent, for labor is wages or salaries, for capital is interest, and for entrepreneur is profit. Unlike salary, profit handles inflation well. As a laborer, when the inflation rate increases, you bear the full burden of inflation. Thus, it reduces your standard of living. An entrepreneur, on the other hand, does not bother much about inflation. When the cost of production increases as a result of inflation, they simply push the burden to final consumers in the form of increased price. Therefore, their standard of living is not affected. In fact, entrepreneurs enjoy inflation since it means that they can charge higher prices for their goods or services. This brings me to the subject of entrepreneurship. If you can produce an actual product or render a service and get paid for it, you are an entrepreneur. In my opinion, entrepreneurship should be the goal of every individual. It doesn't matter what your interests or specialties are. If you can think of a way to market them to people and get paid for it, you are already an entrepreneur. If you want to learn about entrepreneurship and you don't have any previous knowledge of finance, I recommend the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you already know about business but want to do better, then The Lean Startup by Eric Rice is a good book for you. Rework by David Hansen and Jason Fried is another great book that teaches you how to get things done productively. If you've watched up to this point in this video, then it means that you genuinely wanted to hear what I have to say. Now remember that this all started with a question. And so in my opinion, it doesn't really matter the answers I've tried to project. The point of me making this video was for me to actually make you to think. That was the point, that was my goal. To actually make you think about this. Now with the current rate of unemployment in Nigeria, in Africa, and around the world, is it really still wise for us to keep avoiding this question? So I just felt that it was high time someone had to address it. We had to discuss about it. We had to talk about it. What really are we doing here? Let's just be honest with ourselves. I mean, these jobs we're going around trying to get, some people even take certificates, just walk around CVs, and then when you ask them, they are proud to say that for the past 5 years or 6 or 7, that they've been walking around with CV from one place to another, and nobody's employing them. If you are doing something, do something for months, it didn't work. You do it for years. Okay, a year, it didn't work out. 2 years, it didn't work out. Then, with your human capabilities, you should be able to ask questions of yourself. If what you're doing is not working, it is your responsibility to think outside the box. Think outside the box and do something different. Educate yourself, get exposed, get learned. These things are available out there. Just with a phone, with a smartphone, you can actually browse the internet. You can actually, just from the comfort of your home, you can see what's going on. Even the internet is a big place for ideas. It's a big stage for opinion. It's a big stage for knowledge. So you can only have access to this knowledge if you tap in. Which brings me back to what I was saying. Do we really want to continue like this? Is a change within our reach? What can we do? What can we do? So even after this explanation, you still find that you're unhappy with me. So my ideas for this video. Remember this quote by Voltaire. Judge a man by his questions rather than by his answers. So that's it. Just ask yourself, did I ask the right question? Forget about my answer. Just, was the question worth it? Was it necessary? Then whatever your answer is, you have the right, you're entitled to your opinion. And that brings me to the end of this video. If you liked this video, if you enjoyed it, please, just like it below. Like it, you can comment, you can actually share these things, they will help me a lot, to be honest with you. And also you can subscribe. And then you can click the bell notification so that when I release videos, because I plan on releasing videos like this, which are kind of documentary, but on facts of life, things that we see every day, things that actually affect us. So if you like this kind of videos, that's the reason I started this channel. As I go further, I hope to be able to do better in the quality and the content. But this is the reason for which this channel was started. So if you like such videos, just subscribe and click the bell notification so that when I upload new videos, you'll be the first to see them. Thank you and